across the fence, we're gearing up for the Eastern States Exposition. There's a big slice of Vermont at the Big E. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. The Eastern States Exposition, or Big E, is the largest fair in New England and the 5th largest in the country. Last year, the Exposition reached a new attendance record. Nearly 1.5 million people passed through the gates in West Springfield, Massachusetts. The Big E opens this year on September 18th and runs through October 4th. In today's program, we'll see why the Big E can mean big money for Vermont's economy. We begin with a video produced by Vermont's Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets. The video highlights the Big E's economic importance to Vermont.
This fair draws approximately 1.2 million or 1.3 million. Last year it drew 1.4 million. About 1 million of those people walk by our booth and walk through the Vermont building. That's bigger than the population of the state of Vermont.
The Eastern States Exposition, also known as the Big E, was founded in 1916. It began as a way to help promote agriculture in New England. One of the most popular attractions is the Avenue of States, where each state features products and exhibits representative of its heritage. The Vermont building was actually built in 1926, and it cost them $60,500 when they first built it.
On a busy day when it's packed in here, the energy is electric. It's a diverse crowd that comes through. They're obviously having fun. It's just amazing to see.
The Vermont building is a little bit of a microcosm of the state of Vermont. We represent a lot of different industries and agricultural things.
I think that being in the Vermont building is an honor and that we're very respected for being here. I think that we have a level of respectability that we don't otherwise see when we're doing other fairs and events.
The Vermont building is like a little mini embassy. People time and time again tell us that this is their favorite place to go. This is their favorite building.
We got a call from the representative from the Department of Agriculture saying that there was an opening here at the Big E and would we be interested, and the more I learned about it, the more I realized that I had been invited to really participate in something quite unique and powerful, and so we said yes, and we've been saying yes for the last 18 years.
The one thing about the Big E, if you want to build a brand, this is the place to be. Everybody has a soft spot in their heart for Vermont if they've ever been here, and this is the place where you really see it. And there's no show I've ever done, including the New York Gift Show, where you see more people.
A lot of our orders are placed on the web as well as over the phone. So with us being able to be part of the Big E, we're able actually to get out and see our customers, which is great.
We've been selling apple pie at this fair for a long, long time, and we keep getting requests of how can we get your pies when we're not in Vermont. This year, for the first time, we're implementing mail-order pies being shipped to customers out of our mail-order department. Direct outflowing of feedback from the Big E.
Probably the most helpful thing that happens here is that we get to interact with customers on a one-on-one basis, tell our story, and most importantly, get our product into people's mouths. And that's the transformative moment. And it's unusual to have an opportunity to be able to reach out to 800,000 people or more during the course of the year. So if people have a great experience at this particular booth, that memory is attached to their idea of Vermont.
Vermont brand to me is an image of Vermont that really helps us succeed as businesses. It's an image of wholesomeness, it's an image of friendliness, it's an image of good quality, it's an image of nice diversity of manufacturing and agriculture and industry, and all those things rolled together in a good friendly place to do business with folks.
In 2013, we had 1.4 million people come through the gates, and they say between 80 and 90% actually come through the Vermont building. Last weekend, we had 174,000 people come through just on Vermont Day.
The best part of being a vendor in this building is the camaraderie here. We all are proud to be a part of this, all proud to represent the state of Vermont. For me, this is the Big E in here.
We're going to find out more about Vermont's presence at the Big E. Joining me now are two guests from the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets. Sheila Masterson is the Vermont Building Manager at the Big E, and Meg Godin serves as liaison for the agency. Both of our guests are going to help support and coordinate the Vermont vendors who set up the shop in West Springfield. Thanks so much for being with us. Now, Sheila, this will be your 6th year serving as the on-site building manager. How do you describe the Big E to people?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for letting us come on to across the fence.
Sure.
And tell what the Big E is. It's a 17-day fair, and it's a great opportunity for families from all over New England to come down to West Springfield and visit the Vermont building to see what we have to offer. We have 29 vendors this year who will be vending some of their products, and they also have a wine and cheese barn down there that people can do samples, and visit the Mallory building where all the 4-H children show their cattle and things like that. So it's a great opportunity for families to visit.
What's Vermont's history with the Big E, and how did it start, and how long has our state been involved?
The fair started in 1916, and the Vermont building was actually put on its property, which is owned by the state of Vermont, in 1926. And it cost us $60,500 at the time to put this building up by the trustees. And so we've been going strong since then. Every year we have new vendors who come in.
And so, Reg, you're the Senior Market Development Specialist at the Agency of Agriculture. How does the state of Vermont and the agency tie into the expo?
Yeah, well, it's a tight knot. Like Sheila says, we've been there, the building's been there for about 90 years, and through statute, the Agency of Agriculture, Food and Markets operates the building in partnership with the Department of Building and General Services. So we own the building. Mm-hmm. And we oversee the operation of it. And so, you know, if the walls need to be painted, we're painting the walls. If, you know, windows need to be replaced, that type of stuff. So we're maintaining the building with Building and General Services. And then, in addition, it's a big part of our domestic export program of getting Vermont products outside the state and connecting Vermont producers to those buyers, and marketing these companies and their brand. So, for instance, this year we were able to get 2 new cider companies into the Big E Fair, Champlain Orchards from Shoreham, Vermont, and then Hall Home Place from the islands. And they're going to have an opportunity to access a new market and new customers and get their product out there. So it's a great opportunity for these companies and for our agency to do our work, and it's a great tool and asset.
And so Vermont's not the only state that has a building at the Big E.
No, it's as Sheila mentioned, it's a New England event, and we may be down in West Springfield, but once you walk into the fairgrounds, you see as much of Connecticut and Maine and Rhode Island and New Hampshire as you do Massachusetts and Vermont, of course. And there's an avenue of the states, and each building or each state has their own building, and of course we like to think Vermont does it best, and we have a great building, but all the other states have great buildings too. And Maine is famous for their baked potato, and oftentimes the line will wrap around the whole building, and you'll see people walking around with baked potatoes. So it's a great opportunity to meet with our counterparts, to be down there, to run this event, and talk about challenges, opportunities, and celebrate the successes.
Sheila, what are some of the businesses or organizations that are represented in the Vermont building, and what products do they offer? I know you brought some samples here. There's everything from food to emu oil to maple syrup.
Yes, we do. We have, the most famous cold hollow cider donuts, and of course the maple syrup from Vermont that we have. Also Cabot cheese, and we also do have other cheese makers that have their product there. We have the emu oil. We also have the Vermont soap, which is kind of an organic soap made out of Middlebury. And on the back here we have like the Vermont teddy bear. We have the Ben & Jerry's, which is nice, especially on the hot days following what we've been having here this week.
Now tell me about, we were talking a little earlier, what are the probably most popular items that folks gravitate toward?
On the average, I would say that the cold hollow cider donuts are one of the largest, and then also the maple cotton candy that's made. We have lines for those.
I know there's some donuts sitting here on the table, and I'm trying to make it through the show taping before eating one of them. Now, Reg, what can you tell us about the economic benefits for the state and for these businesses, not only through the expo, but then throughout the year? I mean, this is to have access to 1 million people
Yeah,
sample your product at one
like
time?
Bob from Cold Hollow noted, I mean, it's double the population of Vermont that these businesses have access to. So this year there'll be 29 businesses that will be directly selling their products, marketing their products, their businesses, and what they do. But you know, it's much wider than that. It's a great impact for them. The sales are extraordinary, and it's no easy feat for what they're doing. It's 17 days, it's 12 hours a day. So, you know, folks can't necessarily walk in off the street and do this. These businesses are prepared and they work hard and they, you know, reap the benefits while they're at the fair. But greater than that, one of our bigger partners at the fair is the Department of Tourism and Marketing. And so they're there for, they're there for the 17 days, and you walk in the doors and they're greeting you, welcome to Vermont, and they're showing great stuff. They're there with the Ski Vermont magazine, and they're there with their winter vacation guides trying to promote Vermont. And so while we see the benefit on the 17 days, it's really a 365-day benefit to the state. This year, the Vermont Association of Snow Travelers will be at the fair, and they'll actually be selling registrations for out-of-state residents to use our trails. So that was a big thing that folks that visit our building wanted. So we're able to do that this year, and we're really excited about that. But we know that. So 1.4 million visitors, and there's been surveys on the grounds that show that about 35% of those fairgoers actually visit the state of Vermont. So it's a great opportunity for us to get the information to them about tourism and what's new, what's fresh, and what's going on in Vermont. So it's a great economic opportunity.
And also, too, for some businesses, I know in the tape we heard the gentleman from Cold Hollow say people wanted his pies online, wanted to be able to buy his pies, so that was something that he was able to develop and grow that part of the business.
Yeah, and that's a new and growing trend. Obviously, is online retail, and just these businesses understand that these customers, we can, go down there into Massachusetts and reach them, but we can also stay connected throughout the year. And one good story is Mark Baker with Vermont Flannel. He'll often tell you that, he'll get visitors up to his Woodstock store, and they'll say, we saw you at the Big E. You were slammed. You had so many people. We couldn't get in there to see you, but we want to come, stop, say hi, and get our new pants for this year or whatever. So it's there's a relationship that's created with these businesses and the fairgoers. Now,
you mentioned earlier too what it takes for these vendors to participate. It's a great opportunity, but you mentioned it's a lot of work. I mean, you would have to have. I didn't even know how much stock on hand to be able to serve all these people.
Yeah, so Sheila could probably speak to that. She does a great job of managing the logistics and the on-site storage and things like that. But it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, we do have some of our vendors. Actually, they have deliveries made during the 3 weeks that we're down there because like Vermont Smoke and Cure, they were able to, after their first year vending at the Big E, were able to get into the Big Y. And they're a great sponsor for the Eastern States Exposition down there. And so that also was part of the marketing that they do while they're there is, get into other businesses throughout Connecticut and Massachusetts. And we do have a freezer and refrigerator space, but it does require, them to hire staff and put them up in hotels, which also helps their economy in Massachusetts.
Tell me a little bit about what a vendor should consider if they're thinking about this. You said you have 29 this year.
Yes.
And opportunities in the following years to come for other vendors?
Yes, a lot of them start out in our rotating booth, what we have. That gives them a good feel of being there 3 to 4 days, and with the impact that we have, day with only 50,000 people coming through, we think is a small day, up to 174,000. So once they get used to that, then we do have a request for review from vendors who wish to be in there for a longer period of time. And after those applications are reviewed, we do up to some are 1 to 3 year contracts.
So Reg, how can people find out about the Big E?
So the Big E, I think it's the bige.com. They can go there. They can find information on our website, Agency of Agriculture. And they can also, you know, if they want to see that YouTube video, they can find us on YouTube at VT Agriculture.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming in and talking about it and gearing up for the big show coming up for you.
Yes, and thank you for having us.
Yeah,
That's our program
you,
for today. You're welcome. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.